Oh, it's working. It's working. It's beginning to record, yeah?
Okay.
Oh, can you pass me a heavy object off there? That's a light object. Pass those buns. Okay. Right. That's it. So this will have to be a bun-free interview now. Okay. Right then. So,
My name is Graeme Simpson, and I'm 62 years old.
I thought you were 63.
No, I'm 62 at this moment in time.
Okay.
But in about a month's time, just over, I will in fact be 63. But from the 60th birthday onwards, I go back a year. So in actual fact, I'm about 57 this year, I think, in real terms. But in terms of what I'm thinking and everything, I think that I'm about 20, 30 years old.
20, 30, so that's 20 times 30 years old.
I'm about 20, no, about 30. I'd say I feel about 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 20, 30 years old,
Not
because
20,
that
30,
would be...
no, that'd be too much.
Yeah. Because that would be like
Now,
600, wouldn't it?
yes. But
That's a biblical age, like the old ages in the Bible. Well, some of those people lived to nearly 1,000.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so my name's Graeme Raymond Simpson. I was born in South London in 1956 on May the 11th. And what can I tell you?
Well, last time you were on the talking, you were telling us about your DJ career.
Right.
You've had the main job you've done is a hairdresser. You've also been a driver and a postman as well, but also you've been a disc jockey. So, I mean, did you want to tell us about your days as a disc jockey, for instance, and some of the interesting encounters you had, etc.? And when did you start to being a disc jockey?
1974.
1974.
When I was working at Roger Sherwood's at the time.
A hairdresser's shop in the centre of Sheffield.
Big salon in the middle of Sheffield at the time, and but I was very, very shy, and I wouldn't open up. I was in I didn't come out of my shell until, well, she didn't mind, but I was very quiet and very shy basically, but I'd always had a bit of a love for music, so I decided to have a crack at DJing, mobile DJing.
So when did you? What was the first? When you were a child, what was the first music you started to enjoy listening? Did your parents used to listen to music?
They didn't play music. I can remember ever so much. They had a record collection, but mostly it was the radio they had on.
Right.
And
any particular radio station or?
Radio 2, I think, at the time, or whatever.
So it was music rather than talking.
I think so. Yeah.
And both your parents were nurses.
Both nurses, yeah. I was, say, born in London and South London. Then we moved out to Plymouth, where my sister was born, and then we went to a place near Bath called Barrow Gurney, which is awful. Sounds ever so Wurzel Gummidge, doesn't it? And then we moved to Bristol, which was great. Fantastic city, Bristol. Loved it a lot, and was quite settled at school. Then we moved to Aberdeen, which was good as well, because my mum came from Aberdeen originally.
So you were moving around because of your parents' employment?
My dad's job mostly, yeah. As he went up the ladder, we were climbing it with him. But it has a detrimental effect on your education a little bit, all the moving. You get subject to a bit of bullying, and I used to get that all the time.
And from the teachers or the pupils?
Pupils and teachers. Well, not so much abuse from teachers, but I used to get the mickey took out of me spitefully because I've got a different accent to everybody at the time.
Yeah.
When we moved to Sheffield, for example, from Aberdeen, I had a really, really pronounced Scottish accent, and they took the mickey unmercifully.
Yeah.
So
Did they mainly sound the same then?
Pardon?
Did they mainly sound like people who came from wherever it was? Was it Bradfield or something in Sheffield?
I went to Bradfield School in Sheffield for the last year of my school, yeah.
So did most Bradfieldians, is that what they're called?
You don't know what they're called.
No, they might have invented a new term.
I didn't like them.
But did they sing like local? Was it a bit like what do you call it? League of Gentlemen.
This
we
is
don't
a local
like you
school
you're
for
not,
local people.
This is a local
they didn't
school
say
for
that, but you felt like you were intruding. Well, I did, but David went to the same school, my brother, and it didn't seem to affect him. He came into secondary school more or less from the beginning, and,
Yeah.
I was up and down like that when I was at
So do you think
school.
he got more of a local accent?
Well, it wasn't so much the accent. David could play football. He was a phenomenally good footballer, and he had trials with Sheffield United as well. And he played for Bristol Boys and Aberdeen Boys. He was a really talented footballer. He took all the talent, and I didn't get any of it. And you know.
Shall I start playing the violin, Graeme?
No.
Okay, no.
Anyway,
just
that's enough of that now.
all right. Yes. So yeah. So did anyone try and be friends with you?
Yes, I had a good guy called Donald Urban. He came. I think it was the first day I remember, or in that first week I remember at school. He came up and he was really friendly, and we stayed friends for quite a long time.
Yeah, that was good.
He was a good lad, Don. I don't know where he went. He got married, and I've lost contact with him since 1999, 2000, something like that. So
Yeah.
fair long ago.
Well, you know, might see this video and.
I had no idea where he went. I've checked. I looked for him on Facebook and all those kind of things, but I can't find him. Friends reunited and things like that.
Yeah.
So boring, isn't it?
What, Friends Reunited?
This conversation.
No, I don't think so.
So I left school in 1972 without any qualifications, and I had
You had no qualifications?
No, not at all. No, nothing. I had a basic CSEs, but I was there for 2 minutes. I wasn't there long enough to be in the stream of the O levels or 11 plus
Right.
or whatever it was at the time, GCSEs, whatever. And I didn't get any qualifications.
So you didn't get GCSEs?
I got CSEs in basic English, and that's about as much as I can remember.
Yeah, you reckon you got one then?
Probably got one CSE, but not a very good grade.
Mm.
You know, because it kept chopping and changing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know what to do when I left school. I had no idea. I thought, I don't really want to work in a factory. Not that there's anything wrong with people who work in a factory.
Yeah.
But I thought it might be a bit too laddish, and that laddishness at school put me off that kind of work. You know.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
What do you find? What do you find off-putting with about laddishness? I mean, if you don't do what they do, then you're somehow not up to it or something.
I think I just never felt comfortable in the company of loads of blokes. I've always felt, probably through doing hairdressing, more comfortable being around women.
Mm.
I've never been what you might call one of the lads, you know, where you go out and with this culture of, you know, picking up girls and going out and getting drunk and everything like that. It never appealed to me.
When you say picking up girls, you mean?
Well, what I mean is,
not literally
a group
picking
of
them up and
lads would
putting them
generally
down.
go out to
wanting to
on the pull, basically.
Yeah, no,
And,
but I mean to our younger viewers, it might be, you know, to basically try and have a, you know, an encounter with a lady or maybe have a more serious relationship, but get to know her a bit or something.
Mm.
Just, you know, have a bit of interaction sort
Yeah.
of thing, whether it be verbal or hopefully maybe kissing or something like that. Possibly at a certain age, you'd be interested in that.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
now you're 62, you're not interested in kissing women at all. I'm only kidding you.
Depends on it depends. Some women, obviously, I would happily kiss, but
Yeah.
there's nobody.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that you can scrub that bit. That's not very
No,
interesting.
no, 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 no. It's warts and all this sort of thing.
So I left school in 1972 and I went to Roger Shoe. I started as a Saturday boy actually at Andre Bernard, which was up above up above the Grosvenor Hotel, or in that block where the Grosvenor Hotel was. There was a salon up there called Andre Bernard's.
So did you get transferred to Roger Sherwood?
No, I went in as a Saturday lad because my mum went there for her hair
Oh,
doing.
I see. Yeah.
So I got a job as a Saturday boy. And but then once that kind of trial thing had finished, they weren't didn't take it any further.
So whose idea was it for you to maybe try hairdressing then?
My granddad, who had come down from when we moved down from Scotland, down here from Aberdeen, my mum wanted her dad, my granddad, to come down because he was on his own up there,
Yeah.
and he hadn't been very well. So my
Yeah.
mum wanted to keep an eye on him and everything. And that was short-lived as it happens because he was so homesick down here.
Yeah.
He went back to Aberdeen ultimately. But in the as I was on, kind of figure out what to do, and with having no advice from school as to what to do, with hindsight, I should have stayed on and tried to get those qualifications.
Mm.
But
So they didn't have any careers advice?
no, there was no careers advice. No, I think it was. I think it was an English teacher called. I better not mention names, but the English teacher doubled up as the careers teacher at Bradfield School.
Mm.
And I'll give you an example of how my paranoia is enhanced. I went to I'd been doing Saturday work at Andre Bernard's, and
So whose idea was it for you to get that job then?
I think my mum asked. Mum asked
just for something for you to do.
Yeah, she said, "Have you got any, any Saturday work?" So I went there.
Maybe your mum had an idea that maybe it'd be something you might be interested in.
Possibly.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, it's all right. I mean, I don't know where it was now.
Well, so it's even worse at my age, 64. Yeah, you were basically careers advice. You were saying you were giving an example about how careers advice.
Oh yeah, I went. What he did is he was doubling up as the English teacher. He'd call you in to discuss possible careers or whatever, but his class would be there in doing their thing in the same room.
Yeah.
And I'd never spoken to this guy before because I'd barely been there. I was barely there for hardly any time at all. And he said, any idea what you want to do then when you leave and all that kind of stuff? And I just said to him, yeah, I'm going into hairdressing. So I think it had been sorted out then. It was nearly the end that I'd look at hairdressing seriously. I said I've been doing Saturday work in hairdressing.
Oh, and you've been talking to people there.
And I'm looking at going into that industry. And I remember vividly, and you may call it my paranoia, but I remember vividly telling the class to shut up while I repeated to him what I was thinking of doing.
Well, I mean talking to somebody about careers advice shouldn't be done in front of a group of people, like an audience, really.
Exactly. And so what happened was I had to repeat myself to him after he told the class to quieten down while I repeated what I was planning to do.
Yeah.
And of course I got all these inevitable sniggers and what a weirdo and all that kind of stuff behind me, because 1972, I mean, it was still predominantly seen as a woman's industry. Any men in it are likely to be
effeminate or
gay or whatever.
Yeah.
And that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
And even if it is, so what?
Yeah.
Basically. So I didn't like him. I thought, well,
No,
I
that
don't like
seemed a
you.
bit of a, that, you know, it
And
did seem a bit, I think he probably was trying to,
maybe he was trying to look clever in front of his class, wasn't he?
well, maybe, but also he's probably trying to, I don't know, cut down, maybe do two jobs at the same time, you know, multitask or something like that, because he might have got paid a bit extra for doing careers advice.
Possibly, but he didn't give much advice.
No.
He didn't give much advice at all.
No.
All he did was take the mickey,
Was
effectively.
was there anyone else who, you know, can you remember being in a class yourself sometime and they brought somebody else, an individual, in and asked them what careers they wanted to do?
I don't remember that.
No.
I don't remember that.
Oh, maybe.
I just wanted to get out of that room as quick
Yeah,
as I
well,
could.
well, I mean, that was, you know, and
Um,
especially with being a bit an unusual choice of an occupation
Yeah.
for that time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I wasn't impressed with my art teacher either. He had a tendency to put me down as well. So all in
because
all,
sorry to interrupt, but previously you'd been up in Scotland and you'd had a really good art teacher who'd
Yeah.
encouraged you
Mrs. Burns, yeah, she was fantastic.
and to be creative in the way you did.
Yeah. She said to me, because if you ask me to draw a typical picture of something or somebody, I can't really do it. I'm not very good at that. So I was more kind of making things out of abstract, if you like,
Yeah,
and that kind of artwork that I like to do.
yeah,
And she encouraged me to go to this place in Aberdeen called the Grey School of Art on a Saturday morning,
yeah,
and try to get more experience and learn a bit more about
Yeah.
it. And I started doing that. And it's funny how records, you know, you listen to a record and it reminds you of something in your life. Whenever I hear the record by an old record by Bobby Gentry called what was it called now? She had a song I got to number one. What? Anyway, whenever I hear that song, I always think of Grey School of Art in Aberdeen. I don't
Yeah.
know why, I just do, you know.
yeah,
And for instance, I always link Sheffield United and Bramall Lane with I Never Promised You a Rose Garden
Yeah.
by whatever her name was. And yeah, anyway, that just went off tangent there. So
no, yeah. So, but then
I'll Never
you
Fall in
came,
Love Again, that was it, Bobby Gentry. Yeah.
yeah, no,
I'll never fall in love again.
anyway, don't tell me what it's all about.
Don't tell me what it's all about.
That's local tram for local people going past. Well, there are two actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this art teacher,
Yeah.
so he,
Mrs. Burns, she was great.
so she got the fire going to a certain extent
Yeah.
with artistic
Well,
impersonation.
even in Bristol when I did art, I remember the teacher putting my artwork on the wall and everything.
Yeah,
I remember
and then, but this art teacher in
Sheffield.
Bradfield,
Yeah.
was it Bradfield?
Yeah, Bradfield, awful.
He just basically wanted you to be like almost like a draft artist sort of thing.
I mean, he was right in what he said. He had to allocated me to draw a picture of this particular car that was in the car park down there.
Yeah.
And
Couldn't you afford a camera or something?
I couldn't get the perspective.
Yeah.
What's the word?
Perspective, yeah.
Right. I couldn't get it right. I just couldn't. It was the oddest looking car you probably ever saw.
You still got the drawing?
No, I just couldn't figure out. I couldn't draw like that. I can't do it. And he just said to me, "That's the contrast." She said it was really good and encouraged me, and he said, "Oh, bloody awful." So you shouldn't even be doing art. He said, "I've never crossed." Anyway, there you go.
Well, did you ever see how good an artist he was then?
No, I know what sort of artist I'd call him, but
Yeah.
no, he was old school, I suppose, and you know, I'm sure he was very good at what he did, probably. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been an art teacher, presumably.
Well, I'm not.
But art is not necessarily one-dimensional, is it? I mean,
No,
you know,
I mean, makes you wonder how what do you call it? Picasso would have got on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, they'd have took the mickey out of his accent for a start off. That's for
Yeah.
sure, because they did me. It was unmerciful. It really was.
Yeah.
I remember one kid. He kept calling me man-sized Scotties because I was anything but man-sized, and I got a Scottish accent.
All right.
So when I called him Snot Rag because his name was Stephen Ragg,
Yeah.
he didn't like it at all.
No, no.
And they chased me around. Him and his cronies chased me around to beat me up.
Yeah.
So anyway, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
So that was Bradfield School was an unhappy experience. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was my least favourite of all the schools I went to.
How long were you there for then?
Barely a year.
Barely a year.
Barely a year, if that.
So.
I'd have been in Aberdeen starting to do me O level, whatever
Yeah.
it is, at the time.
Yeah.
Had we stayed in Aberdeen, I would have been naturally in that stream where I was
Yeah.
doing okay. Or even if we stayed in Bristol, I would
Yeah.
have been there from the beginning, so it would have been okay. But you move around and it disrupts you. It
Yeah.
absolutely does.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, I mean,
there you go.
you survived till 62.
Yes, but I feel that Lord may be thinking of taking me away soon.
Taking you away
To a better place.
to a better place.
Yeah, probably.
What, Rotherham, you mean?
Raw Marsh.
Have you found it? Is there a van coming or something or what? Or a vehicle? So
that was a little bit of my schooling.
So you ended up at Roger Sherwood's hairdressing shop because I suppose they would have been a bit impressed because you'd done a bit of a Saturday job.
Possibly,
at the other place.
I don't recall. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I do remember going in for an interview with my mum and dad. At them times they were offering me an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So my mum and dad came along for that part of the interview. I remember Roger Sherwood telling me what makes you want to do hairdressing particularly, and I didn't really know the answer because I didn't particularly want to do it.
What other things were you consider doing?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. That's just the whole thing. I would have had to have somehow gone back to education and tried to.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Lindsay. I mean, he left school with no qualifications, and he went back to prove himself, and he's got 2 doctorates now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, know that.
And he's a qualified and highly skilled carpenter as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's.
So,
well, I mean, the university. I mean, I'm not trying to get an advertising thing here, but the university is Sheffield University is saying, look, if you're interested in a subject, you don't need any formal qualifications. If there's something you really fancy studying, get in touch with us, and you know, all you need is the passion. You see, so I'm not trying to sort of like get any sponsorship from them or something, but I mean, I'm just passing that on to you. But
yeah, they kind of openly encourage people that perhaps didn't have the best of schooling. Northern College in Barnes is like that. You know, if you, some people have gone back to education there because they probably didn't, for whatever reason, the schooling wasn't that great, or they didn't succeed much at school or whatever. You know, but yeah.
like you know, the one thing in life that's guaranteed. Name me one thing in life that's guaranteed to succeed.
Yeah, budgie.
A budgie that hasn't got a beak.
Yeah, well, I knew when I said succeed, there was going to be some sort of comment.
Anyway, so carry on. The other main flow.
Yeah. No, where am I?
Yeah.
I've got Alzheimer's. I had an appointment last week with a doctor for an Alzheimer's test, and I forgot to go.
Well, hopefully it was just.
It's not. I'm not taking the mickey out of people that have got
no.
Alzheimer's at all.
No.
So, but I'm pretty sure I've got something going on.
Well, you know, I mean, I think
it
you get older, things.
Well, I think it's
go
also
a bit wrong.
I think it's also information seems to go in that ear and come out that ear, or goes over the head. And I think part of the ear to ear thing is that beetle that crawled into my ear that time when I was a child in Devon, and it made this this buzzing right in my,
Gosh.
you know, bzzz, really in my ear. You know what I mean? I ran in and my mum put me to one side and she like got on with her knitting. She put me to one side and she poured water down into that ear, and the beetle came out of that one.
Oh, goodness me. Well,
Yeah.
that would be a medical phenomenon.
So that's part of my brain's missing, you see, I think. Or it's not logical anyway. I'm not a logical thinker at all, so... Yeah, anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, so Roger Sherwood, the interview then at the Hairdressers.
Yeah,
Um,
I got a 3-year apprenticeship, and it took me about 2 of those years to come out of my shell. Really, really painfully shy, terribly shy. I didn't, I was, I just didn't know how to cope with it at all. Do you know what I
so
mean?
did you start when you were 16 then at the
Yeah,
school?
16, yeah.
Yeah.
When it came to lunch break and that, I used to disappear for the full hour, and so I wouldn't have to sit in the staff room and everything like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you know. And as I was terrified, didn't know what to say to anybody or anything. And then it was a procession of accidents, you know, getting swallowed by the hairdryer and things like that.
Yeah, that sounded a funny incident.
Yeah.
Did they have smoking in the staff room?
I think they did, yeah.
Because that would be something that would put me off going in the staff room if there was smoking around.
The only thing that put me off about going in the staff room was it was full of women. As much as I've grown to really enjoy being around women in doing hairdressing and everything like that. At that time, just out of school, and having been what I'd been through at school, which wasn't pleasant, I was all of a sudden thrust into this world full of girls, full of women, which sounds fantastic if you're a normal hot-blooded bloke, you know. But it was terrifying, you know what I mean? And so I used to disappear for the lunch break and come back when it dead on time, you know, just to avoid having to sit there, sort of thing. And
but did that change a bit when you started? You spent a bit of time in the staff room when you got maybe in the 3rd year or something like that. So getting, you know, as your confidence grew a bit.
It grew a bit more as I got a bit into it. Yeah. But at first it was painful.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the right frame of mind mentally, I don't think, because I used to get really upset about things. If my anxiety hits me and I don't think I can do something, I used to get really tearful about it, and you know, which obviously didn't go down too well. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's, I suppose, when you know, men in the past have not been encouraged to cry, really.
No, exactly. But I was just a young boy, you know what I mean? And like I say, it was all the moving about and everything. It made me very unconfident, very unconfident. But then I gradually built some confidence up and stuff, you know. But you see, at Sherwood, you had to really be. He favoured those who would just jump in at the deep end and do it. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't do it. I'd say, look, I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't just jump in and do it. You know?
Gradually, you did have a confidence to start doing some people's hair.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on the chemical department, perms and colours for quite a while.
So that's basically being a sort of a skillful helper. So you basically follow the person who's the stylist for the hairdresser, for the stylist of the customer. They would say, "Well, Graeme, I want this colour on," or "Graeme, you want put these colours in." You would basically like their butler, you know, doing or their worker.
Well, just a junior. I'm just a junior, so you do what they ask you to do, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, you had skills though.
And then you built up to being a bit, like what they call an improver or something like that. And
And
yeah, I mean, we had a girl in charge, Claire. I always remember Claire was in charge of the colouring and perming section. So anything that the stylist put towards us went through Claire, and she allocated who was going to do it, and then she helped you if you were like colour's never been my strong point anyway. And she tried to help me a bit with it, Claire, I remember.
Yeah. Boost your confidence a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I left Sherwood's in '76. worked in a few other places. I can't remember. Barry Ferris was one, Anne Barris was another. I met you.
Yeah.
Scarlet Ribbon was up on Netherthorpe. Worked there for a bit.
Yeah.
John at Deepcar worked there. I did quite a few jobs actually, hairdressing. You know, without worrying too much about it.
Mm.
Used to go for jobs and get them.
Mm.
Yeah. So
when
that's that.
so when did you it was I was going to say you still all right to talk? We've got a few more minutes yet before we have to finish. So we'll maybe talk to you next time about when you started to think about DJing or something.
Okay.
I don't mean putting dinner jackets on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks very much, Graeme, and
Thank you.
I'm sure some people will be interested to listen
Sure they
to
won't.
this. Well, I'll bet you 10 pence that they are.
I'll bet you.
How many
5
people do you
pence.
think will watch this video?
No, you can't because my voice is awful.
And I think you ought to let people listen
Let
to
me
it.
have a listen to my voice. And if it's Wurzel Gummidge, no.
Well, we could always hire an actor to do a voiceover for you.
Is it? My voice is bad, isn't it? My
No,
accent.
well, you should. I mean, you hear your own voice differently from other people anyway. So, I think you ought to take a listen anyway. Well, I hope it gets on anyway. So,
Well,
thank you
let
for.
me hear a little bit, see what it sounds like.
Well, I better turn it off first because we're still filming.
I thought you were just talking to me then. Thank you.